In today's day and age of college athletics, and volleyball certainly applies, you have to hit the recruiting trail hard. And Michigan did that. The 12th ranked recruiting class in the NCAA as you look at some of the freshmen on their way to join the roster this year for the Maize and Blue in Ann Arbor. And we are thrilled to welcome in Benavia Jenkins, associate head coach for the Wolverines. Head coach Erin Virtue right now enjoying her time in Paris.
Yes.
We're just discussing the U.S. national team, who Coach Virtue is the OC for, onto the quarterfinals after, much to the dismay of the home crowd, beating France in the previous round. How dialed in have you and the team been to watching what Coach Virtue and Team USA has been doing?
Yeah, we're very dialed in. We're so happy for Team USA. We're very happy for Erin. I give her a lot of crap. I tell her, like, I am so impressed with you that you can, be the head coach of Michigan and on top of that, assistant coach for Women's USA Volleyball. I love what she does, but I'm not sure if that's something that I would be capable of doing, both jobs. But we are dialed in. We're excited for Team USA, and we're rooting them on to victory.
Yeah, it's amazing. Coach Virtue's over there. Alfie Reft of UCLA.
Yes.
He won't be able to be here because he's over there with Team USA as well. So many coaches doing such amazing work. I mentioned the amazing work that you and the staff did do on the recruiting trail, bringing in such a highly ranked recruiting class. Tell me a little bit more about how that came to be.
Yeah, I think when we came in, there was a lot of attention with Erin coaching with the USA national team. So we sold a lot of that to our players, our recruits, and just the vision that we have, moving forward with Michigan. We want to win championships. We want to be the contenders to make it to the tournament. And so just getting those players that want to come in and help us win and believe in this vision. This is what really helped us drive this recruiting class home.
Now, having talent is one thing, young talent especially, but the second part of that job from the coaching perspective is to find the chemistry and to meld it with the existing players to make sure that it works on the court. How have you as a staff gone about trying to do the best job of that?
When you're speaking of chemistry and the players, or chemistry within the coaching staff?
Chemistry among the players that are existing on the roster, and then see this highly ranked recruiting class. All the plaudits, but they're still freshmen. And as you know, as a coach, freshmen often make freshman mistakes. So how do you build that team chemistry within the players?
Yeah, as you know, this is going on our second season, but we have a really good leadership committee. We have Allison, Serena, and Jackie did a really nice job this spring and within the season, just leading our team. So our freshmen and are here now, and so just getting them on board, teaching them the ropes of how we do it at Michigan. And I think they all have the same mindset, like we want to win. So there's no jealousy or there's no envy with it. It's more like, hey, yes, we got some freshmen that's coming in that's ready to compete, that's going to put pressure on everyone's in their position. So we're super excited about that. And I think our leadership committee has done a really nice job just getting everyone on board and just leading by example.
Yeah, Serena Nyambio, Allison Jacobs, they're your player reps. We'll hear from them in just a little bit. Now, Allison was one of the players that was bitten by that injury bug last year. And when you look back at your season last year, you had so many season-ending injuries or injuries that took players out for more than half of the year. How did the team kind of deal with that adversity and finish as strong as it did at the end of the year?
Yeah, when we talk about adversity, when we first came in, we lost three players, and so that went into the transfer portal, and so I think they already dealt with that. We had a incident that happened on our team. It was more adversity that our team had to get through. So I think these girls are just really strong and they know how to push through. Having Allison back this spring, she looks really, really good. So I think that time that she had to, that she took off to heal, not only just physically but mentally, and I think she is going to be so fun to watch this season.
What will her return mean to what you guys can do on the court and to what happens off the court and in the team room?
Yeah, on the court, she's going to bring us, her passing skills are amazing. I think that's one of her biggest, that she will speak highly about, is she is very confident and serve receive. And her leadership off the court, Allison just does the right things all the time. She's older. She's a veteran. She's like the grandmother of the team. So
not so sure she'd like that particular description, but I understand what you're getting at.
Well, you know, I was in the same position as a old senior, and that's what she is. So, but she has so much great qualities of leadership in her, and off the court, the girls respect her. So.
Serena returns as your leading blocker, and before we started the interview, you and I were talking about the amazing amount of athleticism that this sport provides and how it's eye-popping for some folks watching for the first time. Serena certainly applies to that description. What will she mean to your team's success in 24?
Oh, yeah. We keep Serena healthy. We keep her, maybe just limiting her on her swings and jumps. Serena's going to bring in a lot of, like, her blocking skills are amazing. So just her reading, able to read the game well. She's improved with that, especially over the spring, just watching her develop her volleyball IQ. So being able to have a middle that's offensive and defensively good is going to definitely help our game.
Taking a close look at your schedule and recently announced the Chrysler slate. You have 9 of your 17 games inside Chrysler Center. How cool is that for you guys?
It's so cool. I mean, no knock on Keene, because we love Keene as well, but Chrysler Arena, when you can, break records of as far as how many attendance, the attendance of our fans that's been coming out, it's been amazing. So to have those big matches in Chrysler is going to be huge for us. It's a fun atmosphere. Our girls love it. So yeah, we're excited.
I believe you also have a fascinating exhibition against Pitt, right? For the longest time, one of the strongest, best teams in the country.
Yes.
What was the philosophy behind scheduling an exhibition like that against such a talented team?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want. You want to get prepared for the season, right? Challenging or playing against a team like Pitt, who was in the Final Four, last year, and they're returning most of their players. And this is going to be good for our players to get some good experience, seeing different lineups, and just being able to play against a really good team. So we're excited about that.
Also, obviously, getting you ready for the gauntlet that is the Big Ten schedule. Maybe some other conferences tried to argue over the last couple of years about the most dominant conference. I don't think there's any question now, especially with the addition of the 4 schools. So from a coaching staff, how do you look at this schedule from a big picture perspective? Make sure you're not getting overwhelmed. Make sure the players aren't getting overwhelmed by what they're staring at when they do look at that schedule. Because I know you're trying to tell them not to do it, but they're doing it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it. This is the top conference, and and I played in the SEC, and now being in the Big Ten, I think our players, you have to treat every team the same. It doesn't matter who's in our conference, who's not in our conference. You have to respect all the talent in the teams that's here competing against us. So we just got to be prepared and don't focus on the big names, but focus on what we can control.
And I know you do have a lot of different perspectives. You're an outstanding player at Florida, head coach, assistant coach. What has this popularity boom been like for you from the days that you were a player to now watching the turnouts that we see and the television coverage that we have for this sport just a few years later?
Yeah, I thought when I was in college, women's sports was, huge. Now that I'm really on the outside looking in, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All this support, when we're talking about adding the professional leagues into the States, this is just an amazing experience that these young ladies are going to be able to have. I traveled overseas to play, and I wish we had something in the States where my family can, watch and enjoy me play outside of college, now professional. So, women's sports it is booming, and volleyball is just the talent and just being able to watch a phenomenal sport and get all of the support from other athletes and actors and actresses that's supporting women's volleyball and just women's sports in general is amazing.
Lastly, Benavia, I know you guys would like Erin to stay in Paris for as long as possible because that means a gold medal will be coming back to the U.S., but it also obviously shortens the time frame between when the head coach returns and the start of your season. So how snug will that time frame be, and what do you guys have to get accomplished before opening weekend at the end of August?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, there's been a lot of Zoom calls, and we've been discussing, preseason practices right now and what that's going to look like until she gets back. And that's why she hired us, because she knows that she has a staff that can, organize and run practices. So we're hoping that she stays as long as possible, and we'll just, take care of the babies at home.
Benavia Jenkins, we truly appreciate your time. Wish you and the Wolverines the best in 2024.
Thank you.
All right, so we discussed your schedule a little bit. The camera's going to get a closer shot, and there are some rivalry games early. You have Notre Dame in early September. Michigan State, always important against the in-state rivals at the end of September, against Ohio State in the middle of October. And look at that backloaded schedule. How about Wisconsin and Nebraska, road trip to Lincoln, end of October, and then there's the Oregon date right toward the end of the season. More now with the Wolverine players as we send it back over to Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are joined now by Allison Jacobs and Serena Nyambio from Michigan Volleyball. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. We're so lucky to have you here today. We were talking about your coach, Erin Virtue, in Paris right now with our Olympic team. Allison, can you just tell us a little bit about what that's like, playing in a gym where your head coach is coaching the best athletes in the world and then comes back and brings that knowledge to you guys?
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible, and you don't really realize how much knowledge she really has until, well, you do. I do realize it, but you're sitting down and you're watching film and you're talking to her, and the point of reference is literally the U.S. national team. We're watching film on ourselves, and then we're turning around and watching Erin's practice with the U.S. national team, and it's so cool to implement that philosophy, and then also allowing Erin to bring her own philosophy into our gym and this beautiful mishmash of it all. It's such a privilege to have her knowledge and her connections with that gym.
Serena, what have you learned the most from her in the last year?
I think the knowledge she's gained from the players in the Olympics has been insane. I mean, she's showing me things that the middle blockers who play at a much higher level than me are seeing, and it's allowing my game to grow a lot more. I mean, looking at the setter's hands and reading the block and reading the pass are things I've never even thought to do before. And she just elevated my game to another level. It's been insane. Yeah.
Serena, you just touched on it a little bit, but last season you started commanding the net a little bit more as a middle. We saw your presence on the court. Yeah. We saw you. What were you focusing on ending last season, this spring and summer, heading into this season?
Yeah, kind of perfecting my craft in a sense. Erin brought in Benavia Jenkins, who also was a middle at Florida, and her perspective has been huge for me. Me and the other middles, I mean, a lot of the different looks at the volleyball and things to focus on I never thought to do before. So the goal is honestly to learn more from her, absorb as much as I possibly can to help our team next year.
Allison, you were out last year. What was it like being on the bench watching your team?
It definitely brought, I think, a lot of growth as a leader, and I really focus on building really strong personal connections with a lot of the newcomers, and I've been very inspired to continue that and recognize the importance of the relationships off the court, because I was off the court. It's been really cool and rewarding to see how those, now that I'm back on the court, carry such strength. And our team worked so hard in the spring all together, and we built such a great foundation that we're carrying into fall that I'm really excited about.
Did you have any of the freshmen join you in the spring? Any
No.
graduate early? Okay.
Yeah.
We're excited to see you back out on the court, Allison. You were a great leader from the bench last year. That was very fun to see. But give us a bit of a preview. Serena, you can take this one. Give us a bit of a preview of what Michigan volleyball is going to look like this year. What can fans expect to see?
A lot of new faces, some returners coming back to us, but I think just a lot of growth. We've learned a lot from last year. People say when you lose is when you learn the most, and it was a rougher season, but the amount of perseverance we've gained and discipline that we've gained from it has been remarkable. I mean, a lot of these younger girls, they saw a struggle and they've seen how much we want to be better and how much we do want to win. And getting some players back and some new players is going to be nice.
Your coach talked about the adversity you guys faced as a team, losing players with some injuries. Now you're welcoming in 5 new faces. How do you teach them that culture?
So something we've been working a lot on during the summer practices, and we focus on obviously getting the craft done, the volleyball craft. We're working on practices and drills that we'll see in the fall, so that transition is a little bit more smooth. But again, also building those relationships off the court. So when things get tough in the fall, because they will, it's busy, we're traveling, we're playing a lot of games, those relationships and that foundation that we worked really hard to build in the summer is really what's going to be the foundation that leads us to success.
Honestly, just getting them comfortable. As a freshman, you're super nervous. You don't know the girls. You're oh, what do I say? When do I say it? So making them feel really comfortable with us, they're our friends at the end of the day. Like our teammates, all of us are super close. We're best friends. We go over to each other's houses. So like setting that culture from the start.
And you guys as veterans, how do you lead these new young freshmen? Just how do you empower them to be great?
Just by example, I feel like. They see how hard we work. They see how dedicated we are to the team. And that's the only way to truly follow someone.
We're adding some new faces to your team, of course, but also some new faces and new teams to this conference with those 4 teams joining our conference this year. Allison, I know you have a bit of experience already playing for against those teams. Can you tell me a little bit about your thoughts when you heard these teams are joining and just kind of some excitement there?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really glad that we're going to California because I'm just hopeful and excited to see my family and allow a new fan base to see Michigan volleyball specifically. I think we are a really cool program that the West Coast maybe isn't in touch with because we're kind of far away, but it's really a moment of, again, of like more growth of volleyball, but new faces in the conference is going to be really exciting. New style of play, it's going to be a lot of like adversity and adjustment, but I'm really excited and I hope that their travel is not too bad. Yeah.
Serena, do you have any advice for some of these new teams coming into our conference? Having played in the Big Ten now, this conference is rigorous every single night. What's your advice to those new teams coming?
It's going to be tough, but dig deep. I mean, every weekend you play either a ranked team or a very high-level team, and like it's not like any other conference. It's the best conference, I think, in the country. I know, in the country, and like you got to dig deep, and you got to get through the adversity. You got to get through those tough matches. You might get upset, you might not, and it's all about just digging deep. Yeah.
Allison, you've seen some of those teams from the other conference, and we've heard other coaches talk a different style from the West Coast. Do you notice that difference between the West Coast and Big Ten volleyball?
I do notice the difference. It's not, I think the difference is getting less dramatic, but I feel like the Midwest and the Big Ten brings like a bigger type of volleyball, like a more aggressive and like more go get 'em versus maybe like a more like cohesive ball control type style on the West Coast. It'll be really cool to see those go head to head like every weekend.
Well, I used to hear the West Coast tries to beat you with speed, and then the Big Ten schools like big
with
power
size.
and size. What venues are you guys looking forward to playing the most in?
You can go
Oh
first.
yeah, I'm really looking forward. We have a Wednesday game at Penn State, and I'm really excited for that because I love that environment, and I haven't gotten able to play. I haven't played in it yet, and on a random Wednesday too, I think it'll just be a really cool opportunity to like get gritty and like get after it. Yeah.
I love playing in Nebraska. I mean, they love volleyball there, and you can tell in the fans. It's not like they're trying to attack you as a player, but you can tell their love and passion for the sport. So when you play there, it just feels amazing. Yeah.
Okay, gonna change it up a little bit because we were talking so much about the Olympics. Assuming you guys have been watching, if you could play another sport in the Olympics, what would you play?
I would play women's soccer, without a doubt. It was my first love, and I love watching our U.S. national team. I think they're sick.
I definitely play tennis. I mean, my name's Serena, so I love Serena Williams. And when I was younger, I also played tennis, and she was my idol. So yeah, for sure, tennis.
What kind of goals have you guys set for this team? Do you have goals coming into the season?
Yeah, one thing that we leaned really heavily on during the spring was this motto of leaving Michigan volleyball better than you found it. And we really liked that because it opens up possibilities. Everybody can take that and run with that how they see it, but ultimately it's leaving it better than you found it. So what are you picking up, and then how are you improving it for the next person or for the person next to you at the time? And I think that's something we're going to keep leaning into this fall.
Yeah. And honestly, just putting our all into the program. I think all of these girls know what they're coming into. They know what we want to do with this program, and kind of like Allison said, leaving it better than we saw it.
Well, we can't wait to see you guys play this season. Allison, Serena, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a blast today. Back to you, Rick.